So welcome.
Hi, Marco.
It seems to me that almost all German SaaS companies are being acquired by SAP. But before we talk about the exit and all the story, maybe we do a small round of introduction. Maybe you start.
Yeah, co-founder and CEO of LeanIX, started a company almost 12 years ago in January. We always pushed forward the topic of being the Google Maps for software, and that's been our theme. Just recently been acquired, and DTCP, one of the investors on the journey.
Yeah, I'm Thomas. I'm managing partner at DTCP. DTCP is a global growth equity firm. We started the company in 2015. And we are a sector specialist investor focusing on enterprise software. And this was also then when I was very in early contact with the endeavor of LeanIX, and then I chased him down and invested in 2017, and has been part of this incredible journey from the very beginning.
And when you say Google Maps for software, you can log in and check what is the best software, or what's the core service LeanIX is providing?
Yeah, the companies we're serving, pretty much like enterprises, large mid-market companies, they all have the same struggle. They have a lot of software solutions, and it's great. All the software as a service which is promoted here ends up at one point in those portfolios. So it's difficult to understand what you have, how you integrate all of that. And then if you go through a larger transformation or change in the organization, it always affects software. So unless you know what you have and what you need to change, you're lost. Yeah. So that's why we sometimes say you actually have to clean up also your landscape in order to innovate again and introduce new software. So the move into the cloud is a big topic.
Yeah, I know. I'm invested in a startup, and I said to the CEO, "Show me our SaaS costs. It looks like it's grown 10x, right?" And then you see this 95 different names. The first ones Amazon Web Service and Google, etc. But then from 50 onwards, I never heard of them. So do you analyze pricing, usage, or is it just looking to make it, less costly?
No, for us, so there's other solutions out there for procurement, licensing, and so on. So what we add as a value is helping companies to chart out really how do they move their entire portfolio into the cloud. So if you're speaking about startups, and so that's not the reality in enterprises. They have a little share in the cloud today, and they want to adopt the cloud, get in there, use better solutions, but you can't do that if you have no understanding how your data flows in your systems, which APIs you have, which interfaces. So we are more helping them building the strategic roadmap. How are they getting there? It's not a big startup topic.
It's a consultant's job with a SaaS revenue model, or?
Well, we are 100% SaaS revenue, so we're biting probably in consulting revenue. So productizing. So if you don't have us, you probably need to have a bunch of consultants having the data and the figure. And this is also how the business model started in the first place. So we're kind of productizing.
And I think there's some rumors you're at 100 million average annual revenue run rate. Maybe question to Thomas. Were there some hurdles or some milestones on the way? I mean, you invested 2017. You exited earlier this year, I think in spring. I think it was.
Yes, August.
So tell us, how did you perceive the growth? Has it been linear or step ups or?
Yeah, one of the great things that we explored jointly then was an early product market fit. So it was before basically digital transformation really came into play, and it was around monolithic infrastructure at enterprises. They had to move to the cloud. And what LeanIX figured out was that there is no tool which can really power this. So one thing was then we had a very early evidence product market fit. The second thing that we figured out over the years was core focus on product and functionality. So not deviate from the core strategy and building just the best product when it comes to enterprise architecture management in order to really help, to explore what the IT infrastructure is and then helping them to transform them on a continuous basis. The third one probably is an early US market rollout. So we have proven the business in Europe, and then we decided very early on to expand to the US, which was probably one part of this success then. And today, so we reignited a whole category. Enterprise architecture was a long time around. It was rather a nice to have or a should have kind of category. And we decided to support this whole thing about like taking thought leadership in it, and to reignite a whole category, and then also build this event. So this was also one very important part of the success, like the EA Connect events globally, where LeanIX was this thought leader for the whole thing and was then on top of that whole wave of innovation.
And the companies, the old corporates, the industrial champions who haven't digitized or went into the cloud, they had like played a little bit with it, or they started like completely from scratch with you? And then would the revenues you generate be a one-off, or can you actually do it like an over and over kind of, you, I guess, propose solutions, and since you are like an honest advisor in between, they have trust? And
yeah, so for us, we have like 50% of the DAX 40 are customers, a bit more than 12% of the Fortune 500. So it's the big corporates. They typically start for their entire company, and many of those companies are customers since like 5, even 10 years. Yeah, so like the early ones, Bosch or Kühne Nagel as examples. But now companies in the US like Johnson & Johnson and others, they use us on a continuous basis because transformation doesn't stop. There's always the next thing. There's a post-merger, there's an acquisition to the cloud, ERP transformation. There's so many transformations happening, and you need the data all the time, or you want to pay consultants every single year to do some stock take and do this. So this is kind of what helped us. So it's not just. So we believe really in like transformation is continuous, and with better data, you can help the company become more agile and intelligent.
So there's always change in the company, so you need to always keep on the latest stage of the software. Florian Schweitzer this morning showed a slide where Accenture is one of the top European companies with like a 200 billion market cap. You got acquired by SAP. Were the consultants whose business you, I would say, disrupt to some extent, especially the ones around the IT consultants, were they also competing for the asset? Because you managed to get to, I believe, a unicorn exit, right? And there are not many software businesses. So could they have ignored some important deal like this, or were they also looking, or were you like, oh, maybe we go to a software play, like an SAP, who is probably the natural owner of a business like this?
Yeah, I mean, globally, there are a few companies, I think, at that range who can and are relevant for something like ServiceNow is an example. I think that strategically they fit very well. So there were a few options, but there's not like plenty of options if you get to that amount. And I feel SAP is an amazing fit. Honestly, there's 40,000 customers out there. We have 1,200, 40,000 customers. Many of them need to go the path into the cloud, so need to go to transformation.
And don't you disrupt SAP's products, that they have less revenues after you suggest another software to be used?
Well, I mean, in the end, it's like, so there's one play, obviously, we're adding cloud revenue to SAP, but the other is like we're accelerating the shift into the cloud. So, this is why it's strategic. This is why we also decided a bit more early to give up the journey and join a more strategic journey. We wouldn't have done it if it wouldn't be an amazing fit.
But you sold out completely.
Yes, it was 100%.
And was Carsten Thoma from Hybris Software involved? Is he still at SAP? He was on the stage a few times.
No, he
was one of these like German exits to SAP, because they bought Signavio. SAP is a very well-known buyer, right? And it's interesting, Axel Springer on the media side, they kind of understood very well how to not only buy assets, but also how to retain management. Now you're working for a big corporate. Well, I guess you were used to work with big corporates on the kind of customer side. But has the deal kind of delivered your expectations? I mean, it's
still early,
but it's early, but like, or is it a bit of a culture shock?
Well, look, I mean, I worked for DHL before. DHL has 220,000 employees, and now it's SAP with 110, so it's only half of the size. Yeah, so it's rather easy, I would say. No, kidding aside, I mean, we're only little into this thing. For me, important is, I mean, in year 12, you need to be intrinsically motivated anyhow. So there's not much founders around still in year 12. So if I would have seeked an exit, you probably exit after 6 or 7 years if you're not completely convinced of the topic. So for me, it's less about like, am I incentivized through any commercial or financial things? It's more like, do I find that this topic is super strategic for SAP? Do they let me push this topic forward with our customers and with like this big opportunity of 25,000 companies out there who need it? And as long as that's the case, I'm excited about the journey.
Amazing. So Thomas, how many LeanIX are in your portfolio, or are there actually in the, let's call it European SaaS market? Is that an exception to have such a great story of a business which goes to 100 million annual revenues and has then a kind of billion plus exit?
So LeanIX was definitely special, but for many other reasons. So we have, this is actually here in Germany or in Europe for DTCP, it's the third unicorn exit that we have in the last 3 years. The first one was Pipedrive, which we sold to Vista. Second one was Signavio, which we as well sold to SAP. Now LeanIX, so there are great companies here in Europe. There are great companies in Germany. And we as a sector specialist, we know exactly what we are doing and helping, like making small great companies to become big great companies. And we have a couple of those also in the US. Here, Quantum Systems out of Munich is a very strong company as well. Arctic Wolf that we have in the US, or Exonius from Israel.
So like 80% of your deals seem to be like very SaaS focused, right?
Absolutely, enterprise software. It's about enterprise software. And now our thesis was in the beginning, digitization, automation. So the last 7 years have been about digitization. Digital transformation came into play. Now with the capabilities of Gen AI, it's much more about automation. So software of tomorrow will be much more catering towards automation.
Once you digitized, you can automate.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
Digitization will never stop, but we probably reach 70–80% of penetration when it comes to digitization. And even in 15 years, companies will buy the latest software and applications, so on and so forth. But now, the big paradigm shift in technology, which is happening now, is based on Gen AI. So the software of tomorrow works 10 times better than the software of yesterday. So when it comes to automation and efficiency gain, productivity gains. And this is a huge advantage, and we will see here in Europe, we have the highest alpha when it comes to investing is in Europe, evidenced in SaaS.
Yeah, we saw this morning, right?
Yeah. So it is a very fruitful ground for us here. Our portfolio is very strong because we only look at those specialist firms with our specialist strategy. And we have great companies in the portfolio.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this amazing chat. Really, congratulations.